Hello everyone, this is Nathan Tusi with the daily analysis for Monday, June 2nd. Coming off the weekend into a holiday week with the 4th of July coming. Not a lot of action, so probably the combination of it being a Monday and that holiday, people probably taking off for vacations and things like that, have definitely reduced the volatility in the market. For what I saw today, it just seemed like a lot of indecisive moving, kind of bouncing up and down. Not a lot of powerful movement from what I saw in the market today. And it might be that this week just is a little bit lighter. We will find out, obviously, as the week continues. The first thing we want to do is check our news today for tomorrow's session, and you can see that there is some 12:30 a.m. odd news, which could be very effective for the Australian dollar and anything it might be paired up with. There's the cash rate and the rate statement, so keep an eye out for those. And then at 4:30 a.m. there's also some pound news. Alright, so those three red tagged events are always things to keep your eye on, very critical, and make sure that if you're trading during those hours that you do know that those are coming up. Alright, next thing is to take a look at our terms, make sure that you understand that this review is for daily purposes only, or educational purposes only, excuse me, and that we're not registered as a broker, an investment advisor, or anything like that. We're just doing this for educational purposes, and we're not telling you what to do with your money. Alright, with that said, let's jump into the market. The euro dollar today had a little bit of reversal off the 382. You can see that here. Let me zoom in here a little bit, and you can see that the euro dollar was kind of chopping down slowly. Had a massive burst on Friday with all that U.S. dollar weakness, and then it stopped dead in its tracks at the 38.2 fib level, and now we are seeing a slight inside bar going the other way. Okay, so perhaps nothing that you might want to take a trade on, considering it doesn't. I don't know how much potential this has to go to the downside, but definitely something to take note of, that you don't want to get into the market long until it breaks this level, because it has struggled at this level before. So keep an eye on this. Make sure that you know that this level is something to be watching for, and definitely keep that in mind. All right, let's take a look at the U.S. yen. Again, this is a pair that is kind of trapped in a channel here. It broke out to the bottom, but then retraced right back in. Tried to break out to the top, but then was retraced back in. So it doesn't seem like we can really break this area with a lot of authority. And so the U.S. yen is kind of stuck right in there. And like I always say, when you're stuck in a channel, you want to see a break, perhaps a retest, and then a continuation in order to take a trade, whether that's to the upside or the downside. That tends to be what you're looking for. Okay, so make sure that you're watching this little zone, and I kind of drew this imperfect, but make sure that you're watching this area for the U.S. yen to break out, because right now, obviously, it's having trouble going one way or the other. We see red bar, blue bar, red bar, blue bar, red bar. It's very back and forth. Nor the bulls or the bears are really taking charge of this currency pair and driving it in one direction or the other. Now, we do have a lot of downward momentum from the past. You can see that since after this spike to the upside, a lot of momentum down, a lot of momentum. So maybe this is just one of those situations where the bears kind of laid off, so now it's just kind of chopping, and when they jump back on board, we're going to see a continuation down to the 76 area, or even lower perhaps, and that might be just the case. But again, until that happens, until you start seeing that continuation, it's very dangerous to just jump into a trade based on speculation without seeing actual proof, so to speak, of that on the chart. So certainly something to just keep your eye on and wait for a break. I tend to think that the best trades are the ones that happen after these kind of consolidation periods where you can get on a trend early and really ride it out for a lot of pips. So that's my personal opinion, and I think that there's a lot of potential for that to happen with the U.S. yen when it does break out. But until then, you just gotta be patient and just wait for your signal. Pound dollar was one that did not move a lot today. Just one of those pairs I was talking about that kind of just sat still. And what's interesting is that euro dollar had a pretty decent sized retracement to the downward side, but pound dollar really didn't move down at all. It was actually like maybe a few pips bullish for the day. So that tells you that the euro is definitely having some weak issues, because pound dollar didn't move down against the dollar, or pound didn't move down against the dollar, but euro did. Excuse me, I'm having trouble talking today. But that gives us obviously a sign that there is some euro weakness in the market. So make sure that you are paying attention to that and looking for those opportunities, because if euro continues to show weakness, there's going to be a lot of great trade opportunities around. Okay, pound dollar is not. I mean, for me, it looks like it's making a bullish run. It looks like it's gaining momentum and it's trying to spring out here. But it's just, there's so much resistance, there's so much choppiness previously in this area that I just find it very dangerous to trade this market. So I'm not saying that these aren't good signals, especially because this was a pretty nice rally, a good retrace, and then a power bar back to the upside. That's pretty much exactly what you want to see in order to make a long entry. Just with all this resistance, though, it just scares me out of the market. I'd rather pair it with something else, the pound, I mean, with something else to make a trade, because it just makes me nervous with all of the resistance and the previous struggling of price. Now, what is nice is that you have an even bigger resistance level down here. That's just, this is just pushing everything up because it turned into support recently, and so you just see massive support here now from the previous resistance level this was. So anything coming down in this range is bouncing up with a lot of momentum and a lot of authority. So that does give me a little bit of confidence that we might see some bullish continuation, but still just not enough really to jump into the market right now when it's kind of hanging in between these two levels here. That just, it's a little nerve-wracking for me. Okay, let's look at odd dollar, because odd dollar is a pair that just had an absolute burst on Friday, like the pound. But to me, if it can break this level here, which we see it's kind of trying to break right now, there's a lot more potential for it to go up than, say, the pound. I think the Australian dollar would be a better long, in my opinion, than the pound dollar, because I think Australia has more potential to gain strength, and it also has less resistance just from a technical point of view. Now, obviously, there's always going to be resistance, and that's certainly the case here. But what we do see is a little bit more potential for it if it can break a few of these levels. If it does break some of like this level here, and maybe the top of this level here, the next major level would be like the bottom of here. But that's a good amount of pips. So if it can maintain continuation up into here, that would be a pretty nice trade. So definitely keep an eye on Australian dollar. Casey is long on this on the copier as we speak, and he's up on that. Things are looking pretty decent with that. So just keep an eye on that, and make sure that you are watching these two levels. For me, it's it seems pretty bullish. It did break its previous high right here, obviously not by a lot, but it's trying to move up. It's trying to gain some momentum, and as we know, Australian dollar can go on some serious rallies. You could see a spike up pretty fast and pretty high without too much trouble. Now we know that it's been somewhat sideways, as you can see when I scroll back over the past few months. However, that doesn't mean that there's not potential for it to really get back up to the prices where it was before, above 1, even 1.1. Okay, so just keep an eye on that. Make sure that you're watching out for that odd rally to be. If it does happen, then probably something that's worth jumping on board for. Okay. The USD CAD, just another pair that had a massive sell bar on Friday because so much US dollar weakness and then some good CAD news just absolutely propelled it to the downside. This is probably the biggest bar on the chart that we see here. So you can tell that there's just a lot of momentum waiting here, and if it could continue that, then we would see a lot of continuation, perhaps down to this level here. But of course, that all depends on if that Canadian dollar can continue to be pretty strong, obviously compared to the U.S. dollar, which is where it's paired right now. So you probably, if you're trading USD CAD and looking for shorts, you probably want to see a little more convincing break of this level. But the problem is that once it breaks this level consistently, it's not very far from this level, so you don't have a lot of pip gain potential. And that's one of the things that makes trading so difficult is that oftentimes once you finally break one level, you go up, you struggle, you finally break a level, and then you're just close to the next level. And that is one of the things that just makes trading really difficult. But it also gives you opportunities when you have those really clear breaks without too much resistance in the way. So that's what you really got to hunt for and take advantage of when they occur, because truly it's really not often. And of course with the CAD right now, there's this channel down here that we have, but there's also this channel here. So there's just not a ton of room for CAD to move either way here. Certainly not something that I'm willing to trade at this point because I just don't like the levels where it's at right now. I don't like the price where it is right now for long-term setups anyway. Okay, let's take a look at Euro Pound because Euro Pound is something that I've been watching just because I wanted to see how it reacted after this free fall, because this was a serious downtrend that we had here on Euro Pound that lasted quite some time. And I was interested to see how it reacted once it got to its bottom, which as of now you call its bottom in this area. And it did start to make a rally up, but it kind of broke back down and is close to the bottom again. Now it had 3 consecutive bars to the upside, but again is being tested back down because of that euro weakness that we saw today. So Euro Pound is something that I can't tell. I mean, for me, I don't have a strong feeling of whether this is a really consistent long-term downtrend in the making, because I mean, if you look at the weekly, it's not like an entire full chart, multiple year downtrend. It's relatively sideways, and then as of late is moving down. It's not like where Pound New Zealand has had just years of downward momentum. So I don't know if that's what's happening here, if just that extremely long-term downtrend is getting ready to happen, or if this is just some chop and it's ready for a rally. For me, I don't really have a strong feeling on that, so I'm trying to kind of gauge that. I'm trying to see if this is going to be one of those long-term deals. And for me, I'm just going to have to wait for the breakup of this bottom to see continuation. Wait for a weekly setup, and then probably a retrace and a continuation, and then I'd be willing to jump on it as a very long-term, multiple week, perhaps month trade. So I think that's a possibility for Euro Pound, but again, I'm just not really sure if that's what's going on here. I'd like to get a better feeling of whether or not that is the case. And so I just want to see some levels taken out, some continuation. Let me go back to that weekly chart here. We see that this is certainly a downtrend. I mean, it's obvious, but it's only about a year or so that's been consistent, and not even a year really. But that is 1 year is definitely a long-term trend. But what I want to know is if this is like a 4 or 5, 6, 7 year trend where any weekly bearish signs are sure to follow, like you have these kind of signs that are sure to follow by 300, 500 pips or so. And so I think that's a possibility again, but I just want to see the continuation of that, because where we are right now, we have not broken any type of significant lows in terms of very long term looking. So see that down here, it is obviously where price has been at its lowest before. So there's definitely a lot of potential for price to continue to go down for a very, very long time. And you can see, this is another interesting note, that as much as this looks like a downtrend now, the uptrend from 2007 to 2008 or 2009 maybe had a lot more pips in it than this recent downtrend that we're looking at here now. So this to us, when we zoom in or when we look at daily charts, we think, oh, it's euro pound is collapsing, but really this is nothing. So people might say, oh, I'm crazy because I say I'm waiting for the real downtrend when it's been moving down for almost a year. But in my opinion, I think it has a lot more potential than what we've seen so far. And so that's what I'm talking about when I say I want to wait and really see serious confirmation. Okay. Euro odd is something I want to show you because this is a short that I talked about for a while, and I think it was when this bar happened that I said we might be really heading down for continuation of this downtrend. And I just want to show you that euro has remained weak. So this is a really great opportunity. I mean, we talk about a good signal. We had an uptrend that was kind of a short counter trend spurt. It bounced off of a very significant level, plus the 50 Fibonacci level. It had some strong rallies down, a few retraces. The retrace happened to hit the top of this trend, which was a very consistent level, and bounced back down. The euro odd is just following very nice technical signs. Okay, so that makes it really easy to trade. Now, right now, we're a little overextended to the downside, so you might want to wait for a bounce and a continuation before you take another short. But it's just following really nice technical signs. So I think that this low where I just drew, maybe, oops, let me get that back. The previous low here at the bottom is definitely a price that this thing could hit. So keep an eye on that. And I think that just when you get technical signals on the euro odd as of late, they just turn out to be really consistent, high probability setups, and definitely worth taking entries on. So my advice is to really watch euro odd closely. It's one of the best pairs to trade lately. All right, that's about it. That's what I wanted to finish up with and follow up with. So keep your eye on that. I hope this analysis was helpful for you and that you got something out of it. So if you have any questions or any comments or any thoughts, just leave those in a comment below, and I will certainly get back to you on that. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you soon.